Good morning. Happy Friday. So, Freeman put out a post about Joshua Martinez. Joshua Martinez is a sovereign citizen, and I say that word meaning actual sovereign citizen. Believes in the right to travel, meaning that he has a right to drive a vehicle without a driver's license, etc. That kind of sovereign citizen. Now, just because he's a sovereign citizen doesn't mean he's wrong about everything. Apparently, one of Joshua Martinez's major concerns is the Las Vegas shooting, the one that got memory hold. I don't know why, where allegedly, according to the official narrative, a single middle-aged man hauled thousands of pounds of gear up to a hotel room that he rented, disabled security in a casino, mind you, disabled security without anybody noticing, removed an 800-pound hurricane window, those permanently attached windows up on the 8th story of a hotel, the permanently attached ones, the ones you can't open. He removed one of those without anybody noticing, and then proceeded to fire several weapons in rapid succession. Where other people think there were multiple shooters, the official narrative is that there was just one. So I can understand why Joshua Martinez would want an understanding of what happened there and not just leave it to the official narrative, as implausible as that is. So again, just because he's a sovereign citizen doesn't mean he's wrong about everything. He doesn't understand the law, or why the law exists, or what the proposed alternatives to the law would accomplish. Because there was a time when you didn't have to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle, and the vehicle didn't have to be registered. And you had 10-year-olds out there driving vehicles, and it was a problem. It was a problem, and I'm not saying the government gives the best solution, but when the government sets out to fix a problem, they always fix it by requiring licenses and registrations and things like that. So you can't just sell booze anymore because too many people kids were getting access to booze. So now you have to have a license to sell booze, right? I mean, it's always the same thing. It's the government always steps in to fix problems by generating bureaucracy and requiring licenses and registrations. Now, I'm not saying it was the best solution, but it was a solution, and I'm not saying it fixed the problem 100%, but it reduced the issues, because they were having problems back in the day before there were as many cars as there are now. They were having problems back in the day before there was as many people on the road as there are now. They were having problems back in the day when most people lived and worked and shopped within walking distance of their home, and not like today's modern era where people have to drive 10, 15, 20 miles to get to this store and then another 20 miles to that store, etc., or to work. So those exist for a reason, but I'm digressing. James Freeman seems to think that there is some sort of a conspiracy against Joshua Martinez, excuse me. And much like Earl's assumptions that there are conspiracies against him, there's lots of holes in Freeman's story. Like he says that Joshua Martinez was carrying in an outside of the waistband holster. He had a .45 semi-automatic pistol in a holster outside of his waistband for work, and he got a carrying concealed charge. Now, the assumption is that because it's outside of the waistband that it's visible. But take, for example, a shoulder holster, which is also outside of the waistband. A shoulder holster can be completely visible, i.e. wearing it over your clothing and not having a jacket or anything over it, or it can be concealed, i.e. having a jacket over it, and so no one can see that you're carrying. So apparently it passed probable cause because it made it through a DA and it made it up to a judge, and the judge didn't throw it out for lacking probable cause. As a matter of law, it was not outside of the realm of possibilities. So did Joshua Martinez fight it? No, he pled guilty. I mean, what do you want us to do at this point, James? No one made him plead guilty. No one made him plead guilty. Then James continues on with the story about how this particular FBI detective or something walked in with a folder of pictures at the last minute. I mean, this is out of a movie, right? Walks in, hands it to the judge, just walks up and bah, hands it to the judge. And the judge looks at it. That doesn't happen. That does not happen in real life. In real life, none of that happens. None of it. You don't hand something to the judge the day of the hearing if the judge doesn't want to see it. And it has to be directly related to the hearing. And 9 times out of 10, the judge won't even look at something. You're like, I want to show you this. And the judge will be like, yeah, no. That's nothing to do with what we're doing today, buddy. You hang on to that. Give it to your lawyer. All that stuff. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Like it's cartoonish. It's cartoonish. Much like Earl's stories, it's cartoonish. So then apparently the judge looks at this, according to Freeman, and then is incensed and enraged and says, you have to retract your plea bargain or go to trial. What? What? I don't... If he retracts his plea deal or his plea, then he's going to go to trial. So you have to retract your plea or go to trial. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. But then, magically, unexplainedly, the judge allows him to do the plea. The judge enters the plea of guilty and then sentences him to probation. This incensed, enraged judge that has just had, bam, a folder full of pictures slammed down on his desk without having the defense counsel giving the defense counsel time to look at or anything like that, just out of the fucking blue, bam, on the judge's desk. Oh, good God. Just these fucking idiots. And people buy this shit. I don't even understand it, but people buy it. So anyway, that doesn't make any sense at all. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So then the question is, so then allegedly, the only thing that Joshua Martinez is being charged with is there were some coffins being sent somewhere for some reason, and Joshua Martinez commented that he hoped whatever that this particular FBI agent was in one of those coffins. Now, is that a threat? That's a great question. That's a great question. Could it be seen as a threat? Well, it would depend. It would depend on maybe past things that Joshua Martin has said. In and of itself, is that a threat? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so, but that would be up to the finder of fact. That would be up to the jury to decide. What other things has Joshua Martinez done before that? What did he do after that? Because it's the totality of the circumstances. You don't have to look at the one statement in a vacuum by itself, right? You can look at the whole thing. So whether or not it is a threat is a question for the jury. What your personal opinion on it is irrelevant. What could a jury find that it was a threat? And that would depend on what Joshua Martinez said and did before that and what he said and did after that. So those are things that have to come into consideration. Now, finally, this is like the heart of the matter that I actually wanted to talk about today. James Freeman said that Joshua Martinez said this on a Facebook post, and the only way that this FBI agent could know about this is if the FBI agent was obsessed with Joshua Martinez. He had to be obsessed with him and stalking and harassing him. Not just wrong, but totally wrong. If you make a public statement, i.e. make a public post on Facebook, anybody can read it. And I'm going to get comments, oh, well, I locked my account down so only friends and family or whatever can see it. But apparently this didn't happen for Joshua Martinez. He made a public statement that anybody can read. And to read someone's public statements on Facebook or YouTube, or to watch someone's YouTube videos, is not stalking and harassing. It's not stalking. If someone is going out of their way to publish their thoughts, it is not stalking and harassing to listen to those thoughts. And so what? Everybody who read that particular post by Joshua Martinez is obsessed with him. Everybody who watches okay, so I'm subscribed. No, this is better. Earl is subscribed to me. Okay, apparently I showed up in his subscription feed, and he put his subscriptions up in a video apparently, and he's subscribed to me. Does that mean he's obsessed with me? No. It means he's interested in what I have to say. That's all. I mean, I'm subscribed to political channels. People I like, people I don't like, people that I sometimes like. Does that mean I'm obsessed with them? No, it does not. It's just insane. The thought process. I mean, oh, you must be a bad guy if you must be obsessed and stalking and harassing if you read a public post made by Joshua Martinez. That's insane. That is an insane comment to make. I get that all the time. Like, oh, you made a video on Earl. Well, yeah, there's interesting stuff going on. There's stuff that I'm interested in going on right now. You can look back at my catalog and there's months, maybe even like a year between Earl videos. I mean, there's quite a long time where he wasn't putting anything up on his News Now community page. He was only putting things, or no, he wasn't putting it up on his News Now Houston page. He was only putting up on his News Now community page. I'm subscribed to the News Now Houston, but not the News Now community. So I didn't watch any of his stuff. I mean, he didn't say anything. I didn't make any videos on it. There wasn't anything interesting. And every time I make a video on Freeman, oh, you've got a hard on for Freeman. No, I find the things he says interesting. I agree with him about a lot of things. Clive Bundy, that was a disaster for the government. That was an absolute disaster for the government. So I agree with Freeman on a lot of things. So I watch his videos because I agree with him on a lot of things. And I find some of the stories that he finds interesting. It's always a spin. He definitely has a different spin on things than I would take it, but it's interesting. Anyway, that's really what I want to talk about. Was just because you read someone's posts or you watch their videos does not mean you're obsessed with them. It does not mean that you're stalking them or harassing them. If someone makes a public statement and you listen to that public statement, that's on them, not on you. I mean, anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.